Presentation, the Filipino votes, Vice Presidential Debate 2022. We have seen 7 out of 9 candidates who are seeking the second highest office of the land, and they are answering your questions. I'm Rico Hizon.
And I'm Ruth Cabal, and we want to thank everyone who sent their questions to us through our social media pages. Ang daming nagtutweet at nagtatrending nga tayo. Also, may mga lumapit din sa ating mga reporters and even our stringers from the provinces who sent in their questions.
Our next topic is about taxes. It's a specific question for Walden Bello. In an interview with CNN Philippines, you said that the country's billionaires should pay more taxes to generate more funds for the poor. We'd like to know more about these additional taxes to the rich that you are talking about, and how exactly, Mr. Bello, will these funds be allocated to the poor?
Well, we propose, Calyode and I, my presidential candidate, we proposed that we would tax the top 250 to 500 billionaires in this country to 1 to 3% of their wealth, which means income, land, etc., etc. Now, this will yield about 1 trillion pesos, which would come to about 20-25% of the budget and more. Okay. Now, this is quite small. Okay, if you look at taxation rates in other countries, they go on the top levels, 20, 30, 35% in the US, something like around 39% in Germany. So our rich have no cause to complain. So this is going to be made as transfer payments to social services. Is this going to be possible? Of course, it is possible. One, it is very small part of their income. Okay. Two is that there are, in fact, many people among the rich in this country at this point, especially the younger rich, who are saying that we really need to be socially responsible. And then three is even Joey Salceda has said, that rich now have to pay because they benefited from the pandemic. So this is a very sound thing.
Itutuloy natin ang issue dito sa buwis, and Senator Soto, you and your running mate, Senator Ping Lacson, have criticized the Finance Department's proposal for new taxes to manage government debt. Sabi po ninyo, ayusin ang pagkolekta ng buwis. How will you resolve the collection of taxes?
Digitalization. That is the answer, number one answer at the Bureau of Customs. We have given them the funds for it already, hindi kinukumpleto. Bakit? They want human intervention. Once we remove human intervention, we remove corruption, and we improve the collection of taxes. Ganun mismo, dapat sa biyaya, kailangan improve natin collection of taxes. Di pa pwedeng dagdag ng tax. Nagbawas nga kami. We passed and the create law that yung lahat ng below 250,000 a year ang kinikita, hindi dapat magbayad ng income tax. Pinasa din namin yun.
Okay, moving on to Mr. Manny Lopez, who is an economist. Your question, to increase taxes or not, at ano pong klase ng buwis?
I think the fiscal side of governance in this country has to improve. And there is a lot of room for improvement. First and foremost, the collection of taxes should be more efficient. Any avoidance of taxes should be penalized. And e-governance, as the good Senate President has mentioned, is a part of our legislative and executive agenda to improve efficiency in tax collection. On the same premise, on the other side of the coin, is to make best use of our taxes. And this means elimination of the leakages in the public finance sector, make our project implementation and program implementation more efficient, and there should be, better auditing procedures to make sure that every tax collected from the people should be spent wisely. So it's an overall picture. And the Public Finance Reform Management Act, which remains to be implemented up to this time, has not been implemented. And given the mandate to assume a more responsible position in this republic, we will make sure that our taxation system, our fiscal policy will be improved dramatically. Thank you.
And since we are on the topic of tax collection, the Bureau of Internal Revenue, or BIR, has been identified by the Anti-Corruption Task Force as one of the graft-prone agencies. Once upon a time, there was even a proposal to abolish the Bureau. Former President and Vice President turned lawmaker Gloria Macapagal Arroyo proposed in 2017 to replace the BIR with a National Revenue Authority. Ang sinabi niya, there is a need to address growing taxpayer dissatisfaction and the increasing perception of systemic corruption in the BIR. Our question is, as Vice President, how will you help end the systemic corruption in the BIR? Senator Pangilinan, you have 90 seconds.
Well, again, I will go back to, you have to punish swiftly the guilty. Hindi pa pwedeng hindi pinaparusahan ang mga nagkakasala. Ang nangyayari kasi, pag ikaw ay magnakaw nga ng mas marami, mas meron kang abogado, makakalusot ka dahil mabagal ang sistema ng katarungan. In the long run, you have to modernize your judiciary. You cannot have a modern judiciary with a third world budget. So we really have to increase support for our judiciary. Dagdagan pa ang benefits ng mga huwes, mga prosecutor, ng mga court staff para maging efficient. Increase the budget. If we can double it, why not? And in exchange, dapat mabilis ang paglilitis. Ngayon kasi 6 na taon ang average na paglilitis. Dapat yan mabawasan sa 3 o 2 taon na lamang. Dahil pag mas marami ang napaparusahan sa mabilis na paraan, talagang magkakaroon ng takot at respeto sa ating mga batas. So that's how you address corruption and that's how you address itong misfeasance or pang-aabuso sa pwesto. Hindi lang ng BIR at iba pang mga ahensya. Balikan ko rin lang, between imposing more taxes and having a more efficient system of collection, we would always should prioritize the latter. Dahil hindi nakokolekta. 700 billion pesos a year, sabi ng COA, ang nawawala sa corruption. Siyempre, ang pakiramdam ng taxpayer, binabayad nyo sa inyo, dinanakaw lang ninyo. So, kinakailangan talaga ng mabilis na paglilitis at parusa ng corruption issue.
So, Senator Pangilinan, paano natin pwedeng iksian ang paglilitis? Alam natin dito, hustisya sa Pilipinas, matagal sa mga korte.
Unang-una, fill up all the vacancies in our court system. There are about 25% of our courts walang judge, kaya mabagal. To add more courts para yung dami ng kaso ay hindi na overloaded ang court system natin. And of course, hire more judges, give them more support, and then ito nga, convene the JELA, which is the Judiciary Executive Legislative Advisory Council. The Senate President, the Speaker of the House, the Chief Justice, and the President of the country sits in the JELA. It has been convened twice in 2008. It should be convened when the next administration comes in. And we talk about budgetary support. We talk about magkano pa ang kailangan para talagang marami na ang ating courts para mabawasan bumilis ang paglilitis. Pagka masyadong maraming kaso, isang judge, mabagal talaga. Pag mas marami ang korte, mas marami ang judges, mas mabilis ang desisyon. At magiging 2 years na lang yan.
Balikan natin yung original na tanong kay Dr. Willie Ong. Ano po ang gagawin nyo para labanan ang systemic corruption sa BIR?
Yes, talaga mahirap talaga magbayad ng tax dito sa atin eh. Minsan gusto mo na magbayad ng tunay, ayaw pa rin nila tanggapin, kailangan may lagay. Tama naman po sinabi ni Senator Tito Soto, kailangan i-computerize. Alisin yung usap ng tao sa tao, dyan makukuha yung corruption. Pwede natin i-simplify yung pagbayad ng tax. Isa pa, pwede natin i-broaden, paramihin yung nagbabayad ng tax. Ayon sa pag-aaral, parang 19% lang ang nagbabayad eh. Kaya nahihirapan yung 19%. Kung mas marami ang magbabayad, mas magaan ito. At i-encourage natin yung mga tao na magbayad. Kasi yung buwis na binabayad nyo, yan ang pang-sweldo sa teacher. Di ba? Para proud tayo na magbayad. Pwede rin ayusin yung BIR eh. May concept na i-retire mo, tapos i-rehire mo yung iba. pwede natin gawin to para malinis yung mga bad apples. Tuloy-tuloy din yung tulong natin sa MSME. Dagdag ko lang sa ibang bansa, meron silang philanthropy mindset Meron silang Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, ang laking pera binibigay, long-term tulong sa Amerika. Sa atin, yung mayayaman natin, parang walang philanthropy mindset Pero kulang tayo dyan. Kung yung mga mayayaman sa Pilipinas, gagawa ng long-term projects para ma-alleviate, matulungan tayong mga mahihirap. Salamat po.
Walden Bello, your response.
Well, I think that, let's be honest, no? Alam naman natin tax breaks na binibigay ng ating executive as well as the Senate and the House. No? Yung napakalaking tax break, yan yung create law. Binabahan yung corporate income tax from 30% to 20%. And for foreign businesses, from 30 to 25%. Ang laki, trilyon na nawala sa atin yan. Ang tagal na ng agenda nila, even before pandemic. Pero ginamit tayo, they used the pandemic to get what they wanted. So, Senator Soto, Senator Pangilinan, pareho kayo nagboto sa CREATE Act that gave big tax breaks. So what are you saying? That you are not guilty of this process? Tama na yan, kalokohan na yan.
Senator Soto.
When we pass laws, it's the Congress that pass. Bakit pinag-iinitan mo kami dalawa?
Senator Soto.
Well, I don't think we should, huwag na natin patulan yung mga ganun style.
May I first?
Kiko?
Yes.
Kiko. And then we go to Mr. Manny Lopez.
Yes. Again, the issue of taxation is really a very sticky issue. Pero, nasa gitna tayo ng pandemya, hindi lang yung maliliit, pati yung mga malalaki na naapektuhan ng pandemya, yung negosyo nagsasara. And the CREATE law precisely, binabaan ito as a means to be able to provide support. Even the biggest companies like itong mga airline companies, billion-billion din ang nawawala sa kanila dahil dito sa pandemya. So we voted in favor of that because we recognize na iba ang kondisyon sa ngayon because of the pandemic. Unprecedented yung bagsak ng ating ekonomiya, unprecedented itong kawalan ng hanap buhay at trabaho. Kaya dapat unprecedented din ang kilos. I can understand yung concern ni Professor Bello regarding itong mga tax perks and tax breaks. But because it was a different, never before experienced pandemic which really killed, pagsak talaga yung ekonomiya, we felt it best to provide assistance and support for companies.
Mr. Manny Lopez.
I have a question to my fraternity brad, Senator Kiko Pangilinan. A very simple question lang, Brad. Kaya nyo bang, since you mentioned about judicial independence and objectivity, kaya nyo bang litisin ang fellow senator nyo kung nagkaroon ng malaking issue or participation in graft and corruption? I happen to be a participant of the Million People March. At ipinagmarcha po namin yan. And maraming mga legislators ang nasangkot dyan, reportedly about 100. Mabuti na lang ang fraternity brad ko, hindi kasali doon. And si Senator Soto. But as a general question, kaya nyo bang litisin ang kapwa nyo senador kung nasangkot sa graft and corruption?
Well, that's
Very short answer na po.
merong ethics committee sa ating Senado, but of course, paglilitis ang pinag-usapan sa judikatura yan. No? And in fact, ang nangyari nga, nitong nakaraan, tatlong senador ang nakulong dahil dun sa paglilitis sa Napoles Fund. Pero nung nanalo ng bagong administration, o bago pa man at nung nanalo, yun, nabaligtad yung sitwasyon.
Senate President Tito Soto. And then finally,
Yes.
before we go to the break, Mr. Serapio.
Yes, the answer is in the affirmative. There is a committee on ethics. If there is a case filed against a senator, we will investigate no matter what.
Briefly, Mr. Serapio.
Itong sistemang ito has reached its point of incompetence. No matter kung anumang subsystem or sectoral reform ang gawin, hindi po maaayos yan. Ang pinakasagot talaga rito ay total system change po. Kinakailangan tumawid tayo from the old political system to a new one. This is the nature ng unitary system will always have this kind of problem po. Ganito ang mangyayari dyan.
And speaking of corruption, it will be one of the priority topics in tomorrow's presidential debate with our very own Pio Tiveros and Pinky Webb. Tune in to CNN Philippines for the presidential debate at 5 p.m.
You're watching the Filipino Votes Vice Presidential Debate 2022 right here at the University of San. Again, very much USC, and thank you to Very Reverend Father Richard Ang, the rector of USC. After the break, we'll